Hello, hello. Ba, 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 ba. Azina. Yeah, gun lancer I think is the one I was looking at. Paladin, it just depends. Like I don't want to necessarily be healing, you know? Gun lancer, everyone's saying, is a pretty a beefy one.
Yeah, I think the one Ronnie's playing is like the most technically difficult class to play.
Yeah, well, I'll
They
let him do
can
that.
do crazy DPS, but like you have to play them really well.
Right.
I think Deathblade seems a little bit forgiving.
I was trying to look for like a mage class, but it's like all those sorcerer ones aren't really exactly what I was looking for as far as a mage goes. So I was like, all right, I'll just go more of a beefy person. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hello, welcome. What is up? Welcome to episode 371 of the Center Ring Esports podcast, and this is going to be the best episode ever because we have Yikes of the Week, a lot of Yikes of the Week, actually. CS is back as we had the Blast Premier Spring group start up. A lot of new faces on new rosters, so we will discuss first impressions there, as well as everyone's favorite game show, Clutch or Kick, as we go through some of the stories of the week and telling you if they're worth keeping around or not. But before we get to any of that, let me tell you about Philly Esports. You can go to phillyesports.gg, check out their brand new swanky website. Very easy on the eyes, very easy to follow, but more importantly, very easy to sign up and register for their multiple monthly events. Congratulations to all those who competed and won last weekend in their Halo tournament. Coming up here in March, way ahead of schedule, March 26th, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate High School event and fundraiser. You can go ahead and sign up there. Completely online, completely free, but with free prize pools. So really can't complain too much about that. Go to phillyesports.gg, free to sign up for all their events. Keep an eye on what's coming up. They host Halo, Call of Duty, Smash, Rocket League, you name it, they've done it. Completely free to sign up. So what better way to kick off your esports career with Philly Esports? Go to phillyesports.gg.
Hey, this is JDM, and I'm listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. And welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, January 31st, 2022. And the time is 9:13 p.m. Central. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Our Discord is in the link of the description of said Twitter account. Join the conversation. Talk to us about all the breaking news as it happens. You don't have to wait for the episode. Talk to us live in Discord. What an honor that would be. My name is Tim. I am your captain for this journey into esports, but alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What is up?
Man, you got me looking up Lost Ark stuff now as we're talking about it before the show. And boys, we're 1 week away. So if y'all are going to be playing, let us know because Tim and I are getting hyped right now.
Yes, so Lost Ark is a Korean MMO, looks like an action RPG. It's the top-down perspective like Diablo or what's that other one? Path of Exile, right? Those are the two big ones. But I guess it's an MMO from what I'm told. Now, this is the game, Anuj, that I was hyped for, and then you poo-pooed on that hype. So then I got unhyped, only then for you to tell me, hey, we're all going to play Lost Ark. And I was like, okay, like, let me get excited.
That was like months and months ago that I poo-pooed on it. I hadn't seen a lot of stuff on it. I've been watching more over the past couple of months now. mean, I think we'll have fun with it. I think we'll have some fun. I told you my hype level is like, I'm really excited, but I'm also curious to see how long I'm going to enjoy it for. Like,
it's free to play, right? You can pay $15 and get early access and some free stuff, but it is free to play. So if you're one of those guys or girls that venture out into MMOs and you want to try the new thing, there it is. It's been out in Korea for years though, right? So there's plenty of video, there's plenty of content out there. But it's
really popular over there. It's doing really well. It's doing really well in Russia, and now Europe or most of Europe and US will be getting their release next week. So
there you go. Popular in Russia. It's going to then invade Ukraine. Take over that.
It's probably growing over there right now.
So we're excited. It's been a while. We've been kind of really in gaming purgatory. It feels like we've just been kind of bouncing around from Counter-Strike to Fortnite to a little bit of Valorant. I've been playing Hearthstone.
We thought we would be playing Battlefield right now, and that was dead real quick. Like, we didn't even make it past the beta.
You want to know how dead Battlefield was to me? Is I logged into what's it called? EA Origin, right? Their game launcher. I still have time left on my free play time. I didn't even use all my free play.
You know how they give you that? Use all of mine.
They give you like that preview now. It's like, oh, you can have up to 10 hours free to test out the game. Worst decision they've ever done with that game, because all you need is about 2 hours to realize like,
Yeah, they should have put some sort of like non-refundable, no beta test, like just let people get in type thing to make their money, because I mean that game's dead.
It's
we should do some sort of show just on the demise of that game, because it's literally probably the biggest failure in launch history in recent years, for sure. I mean, not many would talk. New World is rivaling it to a certain extent.
Give New World the first like 3 weeks to a month though.
New World was good until you hit endgame. So at least your experience from 0 to 60 or whatever was like an enjoyable experience, and that's 100 or 2 hours, 200 hours of playing. So it's like, a lot of game time before you got
your money's worth if you played New World at the start. There was no doubt about that.
Battlefield kind of dead. Like,
the only other game I can think of in recent memory that was just as much of a failure at launch was another EA game. What was it called though? You were like dudes and little mechs that would jet around.
Yeah,
you know which one I'm talking about?
Anthem.
I never got it because again, that was another one in the beta. I was like, I get the vibe here.
Anthem, at least we'll give them some credit for being a new IP.
True.
Like Battlefield has like the layout of what works. Something?
I am impeccable. Like I don't have a lot of talents in this world, but one of them is playing a beta and knowing if a game is going to bomb. Like, I am so good at playing a beta and then deciding, nah, this is not it. Like, this is not it. This is going to be dead. I just know it. And because all my buddies who will jump onto games, they all got Anthem, and they're like, no, you got to get it. They got to get it. And I'm like, bro, I have followed you into Mordor one too many times. Like, I can't do it anymore.
Frodo only had to get rid of the ring once, to be fair. There's only so many times Samwise is gonna roll with him.
Yeah.
You know?
So, and I've seen this script played out one too many times.
Yeah.
No, Battlefield. They're already talking about it going free to play. I heard. So.
But even that's not going to be enough.
No, because when you compare it to the other, it's just the quality of game, right?
Yeah. Like it's not a fun game, so being free to play doesn't make it.
The whole
you'll have a higher player count, but temporarily.
Yeah. The whole point of Battlefield that people loved about it, it was like the immersion of feeling like you were in the battlefield. Then you take that away, and you like have like cheap Battlefield 2 animations in the game again. Like there's a video I sent you. It's like 30 minutes long of just comparing this new Battlefield to old Battlefields and how like they went cheap on it, and it's incredible. Like
it's like worse in so many areas.
Right. Like it's just incredible.
Following the Overwatch method of no scoreboard also was like a bad call. You should have heard some of that backlash.
Right. Yeah. It's just Battlefield's incredible. You will learn about it in school. Just the absolute bombing that this Battlefield was. So,
I do have some good news for you before we start the show.
oh, please.
I heard rumors that Harry Potter is still coming out this year. That it is not going to be a 2023 release. It will still be a 2022 release, and we should anticipate it around the holidays.
Like, this is all, for all intents and purposes, we're in February, right? So this is still very early 2022.
Yeah.
They did say, was it Hogwarts Legacy? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think that's what.
For those who don't know, Anuj and I are Harry Potter nerds. Love it.
Love it. Just love it. Soak it in.
And I'm a late Harry Potter nerd. Like,
yeah, so am I. I wasn't an original book reader.
No. I wasn't even an original movie watcher. Like, just in the last 3 years did I see the movies. 3 or 4 years. So I'm fresh. But I'm here to tell you, even as like a 30-year-old, like I probably got them at like 27. It holds up. Like, it just...
No, it's great.
I'm involved.
I'm excited to show Hudson those movies at some point.
Yeah.
And so I was really excited to play this game until we kept hearing about delays. But like, if it didn't come out till next year, Harry Potter's got to be a Christmas release, right? Like, it just feels right.
No, it's a Christmas
for the game.
movie.
So I feel like you do that this year instead of hold off for another 2 years, essentially. So
no, we actually have, and we can get into it right now if you want, or e-news. We can save it for e-news. But there is a handful of good games coming out, like just for like the non-esports fan who are just looking to sink their teeth in.
Let's talk about it now instead of waiting then.
Yeah, okay. So we just mentioned Hogwarts Legacy, Harry Potter. So that should be awesome. If not, I'll lie to myself and say it's good.
Yeah. We're still gonna play.
Yeah, like I'm gonna like I don't spend $60 on a lot of games. That will be one that I spend $60 on.
Yeah.
Because I need to play it. You have Arkham Knights, the new Batman coming out, which is supposed to be, I believe, a 4-player co-op, which is awesome.
So, confession: I've never played any of them.
They're awesome.
I've heard that they're great.
All of them.
I've never played any of them.
One of the few games that I can say that I finished start to finish without having to like go back months later. Like it was like.
Is it better than the Spider-Man games?
I would say like right up to par. I would say there would be no Spider-Man game without how Arkham was. You know, like it's just they kind of set
similar style of game.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're all awesome. So that should be even better with co-op. Because people have been asking for that for years, right? Batman and Robin seemed perfect fit. And now we have announced that Respawn, which is Apex, what's the one Apex spawned from? Titanfall. Their developer is making 3 Star Wars games, which we know like at least a strategy, an FPS, and then the other one I think is still unknown.
Kind of interested what they're going to do with the third one, because they also have the new, like the other Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. What's the game that launched not too long ago for Star Wars single player game? Did well.
Oh, yeah, it's that one that we keep saying we're going to play and we never do.
Yeah, whatever it is,
Something.
They're making it. They're making a second one of that too. So
there you go.
Like, a lot of Star Wars games coming up, which I'm excited for. I'm excited for the FPS, obviously. FPS, curious to see what it is. Strategy game depends on the strategy game style that they go with, would dictate whether I'm interested there. But the third one, like another Star Wars MMO, I just don't see EA doing it yet. Respawn doing an MMO.
I don't think an MMO, but maybe like a bounty hunter game, right? Like for the GameCube back in the day, that was awesome.
Yeah. Be fun if it is. Surprise us, we'll see what it is.
We'll see. But yeah, a lot of exciting games. I said I wasn't gonna do it, and I did. I got suckered in, and I bought the new Pokemon game.
Did you?
Yep. Plugged in. I had to find my Switch. So if that tells you how little I play my Switch, I had to find it.
My Switch is not even in my house.
It wasn't even plugged in. It was shoved in the corner of my office. And so I've been playing that. So originally I wasn't. So this is the strategy.
But you spoke pretty badly of it when we talked.
Before
you bought it.
Yeah,
talking about the immersion not being there.
Even watching it, even watching the game, I was like, this doesn't look fun. It doesn't look good. It looks boring. It looks lifeless.
But I didn't buy it.
Then me being, let me tell you why. And any married man or any person really can relate to this. My wife and I are at Target doing our normal shopping. And we go past the video game section, and sure enough, right on the aisle is this brand new Pokemon game that just came out the other day. And I was like, oh, look, here's that new Pokemon game. And she was like, oh. She was like, well, did you want it? And I'm like, no. I don't need it. I don't need it. And she's like, well, if you want it, just go ahead and get it. Okay, all right. Well, yes, get me one. Get me one.
Let's do it. I'll play with the kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's when when the wife is like, you know what, if you want it, go ahead and get it. Oh, well, okay. If you're giving me the permission here, then
it's like that means
will.
In my mind, it's like you're probably going to ask me for something here in a little bit that you're just preparing me for. So we should soften the blow with this particular item.
What should I be expecting to arrive in the mail here? Like, what did you buy lately?
I'll promise you, whatever it is, it's not a 1-for-1 trade.
No, definitely not. I am happy to report that I am enjoying the game.
All right, that's good.
It's not going to win any awards on graphics, nor will it win anything on the storytelling side of it, or like just in general game development side of it. Like there's no voice acting whatsoever. Like not even like normal like Link grunts and noises. Like nothing. Like it feels very cheap.
It's a money grab.
Yeah, like it feels very cheaply made for a $1 billion backing company like Pokemon and Nintendo. However, it is like a relaxing game that it's not like the other ones where it's like focused around battling and being the very best, because it's supposed to be like when people are first discovering Pokemon. Yeah. So it's like all of it is just like if you love playing those games where you're just here to collect things and research things and check off boxes of tasks, like it's very relaxing and rewarding just to be like
watching it gives me like Firewatch kind of vibes, you know? Like just kind of nice to look at.
Yeah, like
roam around.
Very.
You got you got things to do, but it's not like.
Yeah, it's a very chill game. So I'll give it my thumbs up. I don't know if it's $60 thumbs up, but that's what I spent for it, and I feel like I'm having enough fun. You know, it could have been better though.
You got a week to enjoy it because we know your time's about to be gone.
Yeah.
In gaming.
No, yeah, that is very true. I will. It is my official. Could have been better, but not bad review. That's how whatever you want to, what number.
If you're a Pokemon fan, I'm assuming you would probably enjoy it.
Right. Yeah. If you're a Pokemon fan, you'll enjoy it. If you're
not being a Pokemon guy, you probably wouldn't be like, hey, go get this game because it's a great game.
Right. No. Yeah. If you're not a Pokemon fan, forget it. You'd be like, this sucks. And even as a Pokemon fan, I'm like, could have been better. Anyways, so that's it. Any other games that you can think of?
No, I'm surprised because usually I got a list of games lined up that I'm looking forward to. Really, it's just been Lost Ark for a little while now.
In chat, it's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That is the game. We could not think of the name.
Oh, yeah.
It is on my games to play list.
That looks great. I just haven't had a chance to play. You know, I shouldn't say I haven't had a chance. We've been playing things together.
This is how Anuj and I's gaming schedules work. The only time we will ever play a single player game is if the other one is out of town. Like that is really the only, like, because if we're on at the same time, I don't like, unless one of us is just deathly ill and can't get hyped enough to play a game. It's some multiplayer game. Like
it's something.
It's just how
we find something just to play together is what it ends up being, right?
Yeah.
So even if one of us is not dying to play that game, it's like, well, we're both on. Let's do it together.
Life is too short to play a single player game when the boys are on.
I know, like a ton of people are excited for games like Elden Ring and all that stuff. That's
coming out too. You know,
but those are not games that I've like. You know what I am kind of excited for? I'll take this back. I got one more to add. The Destiny 2 expansion that's releasing at the end of February. I don't think I'll have time to play it right when it drops, but it is like a really massive expansion for them. And Destiny's expansions kind of work like new games almost versus like a traditional expansion because they're not making a Destiny 3 anytime soon. But I am kind of excited for that.
I'll have to look into it. Destiny is,
like I said, I don't think it's going to be like, hey, let's get in day one because it's too close to the release of an MMO that we're jumping into. But like a couple months from now, things slow down. We're looking for a game to play. I think that could be fun.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll discuss more of that during Clutch or Kick because I have thoughts on Destiny and Bungie and Sony. So that's a little teaser for ahead. But before we get to Clutch or Kick, we have a ton of Yikes of the Week to get through. So let's get through these. We have a good dude of the week, a couple of there, and then, of course, Blast, because we see all these new roster teams for CS. So let's get into Clutch or Kick. First Clutch or Kick here comes from the land of Call of Duty, Anuj. There's not, I normally have event guilt when we don't go to events, especially ones that are local to us, like this kickoff weekend for CDL that just happened in Arlington at the Esports Stadium, good friend of ours. Well, not so much this time because Clayster blasted CDL for their lack of protocol for COVID, as people weren't wearing masks. People were mingling with staff, would then mingle with the players, and players mingling with fans, not wearing masks and things like that, and breaking protocol. And sure enough, we see a bunch of players and fans at the event getting positive results of COVID. Now, I know everyone's opinion is, well, you're going to get it either way, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But the point is that for the players' sake, like, fans getting it is one thing. Players breaking protocol or the event not having it safe for the players is another. So, not good for CDL.
Just stupid, dude. This is like a stupid conversation to be having in 2022. We've been dealing with COVID for 2 years now, 22 months at this point, that it's been like a widespread issue here in the States, at least. And to not have protocols in place, and you have fans 6 feet away from the players without mask on, like, it just seems so irresponsible, not having the players go through like a crazy amount of testing. I mean, it just seems so irresponsible for such a big company. And I don't know who this falls on. Like, I really don't. Like, I don't know if, Esports Engine maybe is the one that helps, do the protocols, or if it's like CDL leadership. But either way, to me, somebody really dropped the ball here. And it's just inexcusable at this point. Like, you should not have players in harm's way. I'm not saying
Right.
you should have fans in harm's way, but we know there's a difference on how we're all treated, right? Like, we know our place in the pecking order here.
Well,
so
and the fans, you're sitting in the crowd with a couple thousand other people. So I get that.
You also understand the position you're putting yourself in by attending an event.
Right.
But like, for players, they don't have that choice. You are telling them, hey, this event that we're having, that is not a seasonal event, it's just a kickoff event, it doesn't really mean much outside of the prize pool. This event, we don't have restrictions in place, for just a crazy amount of testing, and maybe they didn't want people to test positive, so they had the full teams there or whatever, but they've caused a bigger issue by doing it this way. So it just feels very irresponsible.
Yeah. And well, I mean, the next season's starting here in just a couple of weeks, and then we have other LAN events, so we'll see if they've learned from their mistake. We'll see. What it really needs to be is just a no tolerance when it comes to the fans. Like, you either wear the mask and wear it properly, or whether or not you think the mask does anything is besides the point. It's the rules of the event, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the way I see it. So
that's the crazy part. They get to set the rules. So it's like, how do you let this stuff slip? Like, it's not like state regulation, dictates your event. Like, your event, you can do what you want to do. It's your event. So
especially here in Texas, right?
Drop the ball like that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yep. All right. What is your yikes?
Yeah, this is just more funny, Tim. This just had me laughing because recently in a VCT match that was played last week between Latin American teams, it was Border Monsters and Rise Gaming. The teams don't matter in this case, but it was on the last round. A clutch play was made to close out the game, and right when the game ended, it was odd because, like, all of a sudden everything just kind of shut down, right? It just went to, like, straight to the analyst desk, but it was like weird. It's not like we had a transition like you would normally see, and you can see the announcers kind of laughing and understanding what had just happened. And Tim, the observer, like, rage quit at the end of the game. Now, what we don't know is 100% why he did this. Like, the speculation is that he had some sort of, like, bias towards one of the teams and he was rooting for them, and essentially he did not get to see the results that he wanted to see. So he literally just rage quit, like, right when the end. I mean, I'm talking about within a second of the game ending, this dude basically, like, hit Alt F4, just ended everything.
See, and that's the best part, is, like, he didn't hit Alt F4 though. Like, he had the whereabouts to hit escape, and then you just see the mouse go over to close game. Are you really sure you want to close the game? Yes. Like, it was good enough to where it's like he didn't just Alt F4. He didn't just, walk away. No, he like had to do like very like 3 or 4 purposeful clicks to get out.
Yeah. No, this wasn't an accidentally all tabbing out of the game type thing. Like, but yeah, I don't know how much of a yikes it is until we know the exact reasoning as to why it happened. But
I mean, maybe it was very good reason, right?
Yeah, like too funny. Like I just saw that and just started cracking up when I saw the clip.
No, it is funny, and the casters I felt like handled it well, right?
Like, they all laughed it off. What were they supposed to do in that situation? It's like, oh shit.
yeah. Like Wolf says in chat, he just manually did. Like, it wasn't like a rage Alt F4. It was like he did like 3 clicks. Like, yes, go to him. Let me hit escape. Okay, now let me go to settings and then exit game. Yes, I am sure, and thank you very much. Go to hell, everyone. Like, it's just such a good what's
such
the
a perfect Latin American move right there for gaming.
My last yikes here. This is a sad one, and I don't know what I would do in this situation, Anuj. I saw this on Reddit where a guy posted on the Halo subreddit. I guess he lives away from home. His brothers were at home visiting, going through old stuff. As you do, you go home and you can say, hey, Mom and Dad, you have our old stuff in the attic. You pull out the boxes and you look through all, childhood memories that are left over at your parents' house. Yeah. So his brother opens up the boxes and sees a brand new, unopened, still in the wrapping, Halo 3 Legendary Edition copy. This is the one that came with like the helmet, and it was like a secret carrying case for your games and things like that, from 2007. So, over 13 years at this point?
Yeah.
A long
15
time.
years now.
Yeah, 15 years ago. Well, his brother opened it. He sent him a picture saying, look what we found, with it opened and like the containments all along the floor.
Holding the helmet and whatnot.
Holding the helmet, everything. Now,
go ahead.
I was going to say, the guy handled it he said he was like, I was upset, but it was an accident. Like, what do you do? He didn't know that it was worth money. Like, he didn't understand that it was worth more unopened. But I'm like, yeah, but you got to be pretty dumb to think, like, let me just open this thing up that's clearly been unopened now for a long time.
To me, this falls on the property owner here, like the brother that wasn't there. Because if it was something valuable to you, you should have had it somewhere else, right? Like, you shouldn't have just had, like, if it was a prized possession of yours,
right?
Should have taken it with you when you
moved. Because you got to think, so it was 15 years ago. So let's say even if this guy was 13 years old when it came out, I mean, he's well into his adult time where you have a place of your own, clearly, because you're not at home.
Yeah, like, and even if you think, it's kind of big, like, you can ship it for like $15,
right?
Like, it's not that hard. You could have, whatever you wanted to do, you could have got it out of there.
He says it was worth $700, now worth $200, which I feel like worth $700 might be a little lowballing. Like, unopened, like, if you get that graded and stuff.
But those are also like mass produced, right? These are not like one of one type scenarios. They need like thousands and thousands.
Unopened though. Unopened Legendary Edition, I think if you got graded, would probably be sold for more than $700. With how we're seeing collectors throw money around nowadays.
That's true. Like, I mean, it all depends on what somebody's willing to pay for at the end of the day, right? But a little dumb for the brother to open it, but I don't know how old he was. Like, maybe he was a little younger and he just saw it, thought it'd be cool to play with or whatever.
It was a sad day.
If it was that important, he should have taken it with him.
Good.
And obviously, he doesn't seem that upset.
So, no, he's like I said, very mature.
He wasn't that upset, so obviously,
very mature. I think more dead on the inside than upset.
Yeah.
Good dudes of the week goes out to Ubisoft as they added a in-game plaque for Kickstar's logo on Plane. So if you go kind of near the stairs on Plane, added Kickstar. Of course, Kickstar passed away last year. Former player and caster for Rainbow, so always good to see.
Really cool clutch that he had at that spot there. You know, if you haven't seen it, go check it out on YouTube and you can watch the play. But a pretty legendary play in that location. So I thought that was a very cool way to honor him.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, good dude of the week goes to Hello Games. These are the developers behind No Man's Sky. We all remember that fiasco. Anyways, this is a good dude for them, though, as they are also the developer of the old mobile game, Joe Danger. Do you remember this game?
I don't. You mentioned it to me, and it honestly doesn't even ring a bell to me.
It rings a bell to me, I don't remember playing it, but I do remember it was kind of like when mobile games first started being like games, right?
Yeah.
Type of thing. Anyways, they received a letter from a fan who is also a father saying, hey, my autistic son loves Joe Danger. It's the one thing that he asks to do. And, you know, obviously if you have kids with autism, you know how important that is for them to be engaged into something. But with the newer phones, the game is so old, it doesn't play on newer phones. So he asked Hello Games to do an update for it. Hello Games said, no problem. They updated it, gave it a new HD, you know, clean finish. I think it's like $2 on the store. And I mean, this is 100% just because some dude asked if they could do it so his autistic son could play. And they completely
feel like I
redid
should
it.
go buy this game to just support that,
That's
because that
yeah.
is truly a really remarkable thing that they did. I mean, that's definitely going out of their way to do something to appease like
Yeah, of
a
course.
particular fan, right? So I think that it is awesome that they did that. And you know what? We make fun of
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, but they have done it. Like
They have
after all
done.
the backlash they took, they could have very easily crawled into a hole somewhere, never be heard of. They made a good amount of money, but they've continued to update that that game and really brought it back to life.
And, you know, that's a game that we have to play at some point in time because I know we would like it. I know we would like it. We just have
a fun chill game,
right? And it's just
kind of wish I would plug in my Oculus and go back and like try it on there.
It just seems right up our alley. Like I said, I'm so bitter about it from when it still came out because it wasn't even like under delivered. Like they straight up lied to us on what would be in the game. Like it wasn't like, hey, we want to delay the game, but we also want to release it, so we're releasing the game unfinished.
It was a shell of what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, like they straight up lied when the game came out for what.
But they have gone back and done a ton to it.
Like I said, they haven't given up. So
class act move here on this part. So major. That's a really good.
And it's on Xbox Games Pass, so I don't even have to pay for it. So that's also good. That's a good plus. All right, so there's some good dudes of the week. Let's get into some CS. Get into some good old esports talk here as we had the Blast Premier Spring Groups 2022 kickoff this last weekend. This is the first big CS event. Obviously, it's going into the spring finals, right? So it's not like anything major, and we normally don't talk group stage for these type of things, but Anuj, let's make an exception because we are seeing for the first time a lot of new faces and a lot of new rosters competing in CS.
I mean, new rosters wise, what do we have? We got G2, Complexity.
I mean, just go down the list.
Astrala's kind of right in the sense still relatively new.
Yeah,
Vitality,
I'll still call him new.
OG, EG, Liquid. I mean, like FaZe. There's so many new rosters
because
in
Device
play.
isn't there.
Yeah, even picking up their new opera who actually played really well this weekend.
OG might be like the most stable roster on this list.
Well, and even with OG, they got Nexa,
they just
right?
picked
Like,
up
they still
Nexa.
have the swap for Alexi. They changed in-game leaders, so even though they only changed one player, they changed the
so
piece.
Na'Vi and Big, I think, are the only two teams in this event that really don't have a recent roster move.
So, no, I mean it was like a really fun event from that fun kickoff so far for this event. But man, we had some really good CS for a lot of new teams, and I was asking myself, like, does it seem better than it is because everybody's new, right? Like, are we just seeing? We're not really, the eyes are not catching the errors as easily because maybe both teams are not 100%, so you can't capitalize as easily on a team's mistake because chances are you might be making your own. But I don't even really think that was the case. Like, I thought we just saw some outstanding CS. I think we saw, so far, we've seen like the big names on these teams step up too, which has been really exciting. You know, like the people that we've really looked forward to on their new roster, right? We talked about Monacy on G2, Rops on FaZe, like Vitality's new additions from Astralis. Like all of these guys played so well. And I came out of this like really excited for this year in Counter-Strike because I do think this year we are still going to have a dominant Navi, but I think there's several teams that can compete with them. And I think we're a lot more top heavy. Like the way the shift was made, is it's not like we have like one or two really good teams and like five or six teams kind of a tier behind them. Like I think we've honestly pushed up to where it's like, hey, there's like six or seven teams really competing for like top one or two at most events.
No, I could totally see that, and I kind of came out the same way, thinking like, even for NA fans, like Liquid EG fans out here, like if you're EG, you went 0-2, right? But it's like I wouldn't be so distraught. I mean, when you went into 2 games requiring, Liquid overtime,
they got really smacked against Vitality in their first game, right? 16-3.
right?
But they did rebound nicely in that game against Liquid. Now, granted, it's hard to tell because of like that division, right, or whatever group that was, Group C or whatever group that was really dominated so heavily by Vitality and FaZe, right?
Right.
So I found it a little difficult from the NA side to really understand where our teams are, although like Liquid almost beat FaZe, right?
Right.
They losing in overtime, like that helps that perception a little bit. But like EG's only close matchup was against Liquid,
right.
who was like half of those players just a couple weeks ago.
But I still don't think like the play from EG was so abysmal that I'm like, okay, there's no way this roster is working out, right? Like Automatic is still fresh coming back to CS, right? Stewie is coming back after his little break after Liquid. Rush is there. So, I mean, it's still a brand new roster like a lot of these guys are. But I would think if like you're an EG, if you're an NA fan, I'm still excited for it. It wasn't enough to completely write them off thinking, here we go again.
No, like if you're a Liquid fan, for example, you should be really excited about what you saw from OC. Like OC has been, I mean, he's probably been the best player on that team over the weekend. He played so well in his role as an opper for him, looked aggressive when he needed to be, made some really clutch plays. I mean, just played really, really well. So I would be really excited for that. But on the flip side, Nitro didn't have the most stellar weekend this weekend playing. And Shocks looked like okay, right? So that leaves a little bit of concern, but you're really excited what you saw from OC, right? And then you beat EG, so that helps in the sense of you took kind of like the first NA matchup. On the flip side, like you mentioned, Automatic for EG didn't have the greatest performance, but it was his kind of return game as well, along with Nitro. But I think you're kind of excited just for that core and giving them a little bit of time and seeing what it develops into. So it's not that I'm not excited about what happened with NA this weekend, because also Complexity, didn't look good themselves either. It's that I'm more excited about how the players played on the new teams from EU. I'm not saying better or worse or whatever. I'm just saying like those teams really hit the ground running with their roster changes, where we're still in a little bit of a wait and see scenario with the NA side. And it kind of shows in the brackets, right? All 3 NA teams are sitting in the losers brackets, all playing in single elimination matchups coming up, this Thursday.
Well, so, I mean, so is the world's #1 team. So, looking at that, I think NA is doing pretty good. Pretty good.
The world's #1 team is there, but you tell me how much they're like sweating.
Bro,
like I think
we see this. If I was a betting man, which I am, but if there was like a solid esports betting site for us here in the States, I would every year without fail, I would put all my life savings on the first tournament that the last defending major champion would get knocked out immediately. Or go 0-2.
Not even a major champion, like right? They just won the Blast Worlds like just a couple of weeks ago. Chances are, after that event ended, they probably shut it down for a little bit and were kind of doing things on their own. And this is kind of the warm up into their season.
I bet you Navi probably didn't open up Counter-Strike until like the day of this event.
Yeah, Simple was probably doing the update for the new skins like at the tournament. Like chances are they weren't practicing a ton over the last few weeks and using these as a kind of their seasonal warm-up. But I really not too worried about Navi. The NA side, again, not worried about NA because it's so early. It's just they didn't have like that first wow factor performance. Like there was none of that from the NA side. The only time that NA walked away with the win, again, is when NA played NA. And so, Complexity losing to G2, and then losing to Big, so falling out 0-2. EG didn't walk away with the win. And then again, Liquid beat EG in their only win. So all of them are playing in the losers bracket, but the winners bracket, man, like this seems stacked, does it not? Like all of these teams played so well that made major changes from the EU side.
I think first off, I know we have a lot of G2 fans who listen. G2, this might actually be for real this time. Like, this might be a real contending G2 roster where we don't have to worry about them being G2 and pulling a G2 move, because they looked incredible. Monase, am I saying his name correctly?
Monse,
whatever. First off, I did not realize he was a 12-year-old.
He's a kid, dude. He's a baby.
This dude is 16. For those who don't know, he turned 17 in May 1st.
If he was playing COD, he wouldn't be competing.
Born 2005. So we were just talking about the Halo 3 Legends.
He could be one of our kids.
I mean, coming out in 2007, how old do you have to be? He was, born in 2005. So
yeah. Like if I had a kid at 20, he would be my child. Like it's not that like far-fetched to think that.
Yeah. So he's a kid, and I did not realize, like when he showed the webcam, I was like, oh, like who's it was your bring your son to work day. I didn't know that. like
damn, Glave's son grew up so quick.
Right. Whose kid is sitting at the computer over here? And I had no idea he was such a baby.
No, he's a child. And an incredible.
I knew he was young, right? Like I knew he was a rookie, but I mean, caught me off guard seeing it. I guess hearing it is one thing, seeing it is another.
Yeah, no, he played so well, dude. He played so well under pressure, and he really. We talked about this last year. You can't take over the throne and be the best team in the world without a tier 1 upper. You just can't do it. Behind any great man is a great woman. Behind any great CS team is a great opper. It's just the way it works. They go hand in hand, and they needed that difference maker in that spot. It doesn't mean that a difference maker means you have to be like an aggressive opper, right? Like we've seen people do it with players like Skadoodle, a little bit more passive in their play style. But guess what? If you're dominant in that role, it makes a difference. It eliminates almost half the map once they know where you are, right? Like you don't want to challenge that player.
Think of like old SK. Oh man.
He already looks like that guy, right? Like in the sense of like, I'm no longer worried about him playing in tier 1 events. Like my worry before was like he was playing at tier 2, tier 3 level, right? It's not even like he was playing consistent tier 2 teams. Like he was playing a lot of tier 3 teams when he was on Navi Academy. So this was such a big jump up, but we knew he was talented, but like it's never a given at that age jumping into this type of competition. Like it's just not a given. And I think that could still be the case once we get to LAN, right? That's a whole other
so there's LAN, right? Because 16 years old in front of a crowd of 10,000 or however many that LAN will have, right? That will be completely new to him. So there's that. And although incredible performance, let's call it what it is, right? He was in Group A. They played G2 and NIP. Like, if there's a way to dip your feet in, this is the perfect scenario to get your feet wet.
Yeah, I think it's just also the way he played, though. It wasn't just the fact that they didn't play. Like, Complexity wasn't the toughest competition for him. You're right. I thought NIP, to me, looked really good this weekend. NIP, to me, did not look like, although their 2 wins came against the same team playing big, I thought they would show, like, a significant drop-off without Device there. But they actually looked pretty good. Like Fizzy, or I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I think it's Fizzy. Like he looked pretty good in his games with them, and actually impressed enough to where I think he'll get looks from other EU teams that are possibly looking down the line. Like I thought he looked good enough to like put his name in that category. But they looked pretty solid, and so G2 took one of the games to OT against him. But I thought Monesi just did a good job in his role. Like that's what they need from that position, and you could tell because when he was called upon to make plays, whether they were pushing his part of the site or was in a 1v2 or 2v3 situation where they had to kind of step up, he seemed to answer that call time and time again. So I was really impressed with him. And, Nico and all these guys were doing what they do. Hunter was doing what he does. I think Alexi B has so much to work with here that it's like, if he can't make this work, this is a him problem, but I think he'll put this together nicely. And this team just looks, they look like a team you're going to have to worry about all year.
The crazy thing is I'm looking at like Simple's career, for example, just to compare to Monesi. Monesi?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're agreeing on? Monesi? I don't care if we're saying it right.
Monesi.
Monesi. Okay.
Yeah, Monesi.
As long as we're saying it together. That's all I care about. Monesi. Like looking at Simple's career, he's 24 years old right now, turns 25 in October. He joined Hellraisers, which I'll give him, that's probably like his first real pro contract, in 2014. So someone do the math, but he was super young as well. And that's like joining Hellraisers. And then he went to like Flipside, right? So not to say like back then they were completely different, right? Like if you've never watched
Flipside was a dominant team, Markelov and all those guys.
Right, like back then they were making majors all the time, right? But to join G2 in today's world setting, I mean a top 5 team, and you're 16 years old, and you're like, hey man, we want you. Oh, and by the way, you're going to be our opper. So thanks. Have fun. Like good luck, have fun.
I mean, you're talking about a team that was a couple of difference-making rounds away from being major champions recently, right?
That's what I'm saying.
That's how close they were, and so they're a Nico Deagle shot away from maybe changing the outcome of that nuke matchup. I mean, it wasn't like they were that far off, and so for them to make drastic changes, right? Bringing in Monesi, bringing in Jax, bringing in Alexi B, like that's an overhaul for a team that was that good. So I kind of praise them in that regard for thinking like, hey, this is what we need to do to take next step.
I love bringing in young talent, right? Like NA used to do it so much, right? That's how we got Stewie in the mix, right? And then they've gone away from. Go figure. When the NA stopped developing its own talent, is when we saw a lot of NA orgs just completely drop off, almost like they couldn't compete with buying out EU players. But I love it, like to bring up the young talent when they're young. Thinking of Rops, right? Look at how he started, super young. People were saying, hell, JW was saying, people remember JW, right? People say, call him out for hacking, right?
Yeah.
Like there was a whole drama in there where people didn't like Rops when he first started his pro career because JW at the time, another, top pro, beloved pro, called him out for hacking, which he didn't, right? He wasn't hacking. It was just he was so young, so fresh and new to the scene, but already dominating on a pro level. A lot of pros questioned his legitimate. I absolutely love it. And speaking of Rops, we saw with the new FaZe clan, I hate to say it, but they're looking pretty good. Shit org still. Shit org, but damn, this roster is going to be fun to watch.
FaZe and Vitality both. Let's just talk about them simultaneously because they went head-to-head twice in this event. FaZe and Vitality both look scary, dude. Both look like they're going to be really scary teams this year. FaZe, Rops was Rops. I mean, he did exactly what you would expect from him. He just was a hard carry on a team full of stars, right? Like, it's not even like he was slightly out. He had a 1.85 rating in one of the matchups going head-to-head against, Zywoo and the rest of Vitality there. He was really, really good for them. They went 1-1 against Vitality, so they split the weekend. I thought it was a fantastic showing by both of these teams. I mean, they both got me really excited for their futures, and I think in this event, we're seeing teams that will remain in the top 5 throughout the year. Like, I think you'll consistently see a team like FaZe jump into the top 5. I think Vitality will remain in the top 5. Na'Vi, G2, like these are teams that will be fighting for contention. And to see FaZe and Vitality go head to head in both of those matchups, like they gave us two really good games, like really, really good games. One on Inferno, one on Overpass.
FaZe had the longest weekend, I think. If you're looking at their weekend, I think they had the longest because, I mean, 3 out of their 4 matches all went to overtime. So the 2 against Liquid, the first against FaZe, which, yes, it went into overtime, but you want to talk about just forgetting it. FaZe finished the first half with 15? Or it was 15-1 or something like that at one point in time.
Yeah, I mean,
What did they finish that first half at? It was an insane comeback. 12-3. 12-3 is what they finished the first half at. They won it, so it was 14. Doing the math,
it was like 14-4 at one point.
Yeah, it was 14-4 was the biggest. I'm looking here on HLTV. 14-4 FaZe lead, and Vitality came back, took it to overtime, and then won the map. Yeah. Like that right there, everyone was saying, "Oh, okay, here it is. Kerrigan can't IGL. We're back to the old ways of FaZe, and this is just another pretty roster with names, but it's gonna suck." And I will say, for them to come back, beat Liquid, and then to come back and defeat Vitality again 16-10 on Overpass, I think speaks volume to it's a new roster for FaZe, but we got they have veterans and guys that have been here before, right? So I think if I was a FaZe fan, I would feel very good about this roster.
Oh, I mean, just watching them adding Rops automatically made me a FaZe CS:GO fan. There's no doubt about it, because Rops have been one of our favorite players for a long time, and we root for this kid to find some success on a team where he doesn't have to do everything. And I think this roster is really so well built with Brokey, Twist, and him. Kerrigan posted a .63 in that win against Vitality, and they still came out on a 16-10 win. And the highlight play of the game was Reigns 4K with the Deagle to end the series there. And so really good showing by both of those teams. I mean, I'm really excited for this, losers bracket coming up, and then to see where, this heads in the showdown and all that. But we have, it's just such a great start. It was just such a great start to the year for Counter-Strike, and it really got me so excited. And props to Blast once again. Tim, they've run such a clean event, and I really enjoy the layout, the look. I've said it so many times. Every time I watch a Blast event, I come out thinking, I kind of just want to see this be the new standard, because it feels, everything just looks right. And I'm really hoping they get eventually awarded a major at some point, hopefully this year.
I don't even know if they need one, right? I honestly don't know if they're even asking.
They don't,
Valve
but they deserve it.
They deserve it.
They deserve to have one. You see teams organizations like PGL and all these guys, Star Ladder, get it. Blast definitely.
And that's why I wonder if they're even asking, or if it's they're not making a real pitch for it, because they're you know what, we have our own thing going on, and we don't need Valve meddling in what we're wanting to do with the major, right? Because Valve runs the major, so obviously they have to have some say in it. And maybe Blast is no, we have our own thing. We got a big enough tournament going on with they have qualifiers and series and play-ins and spring and summer and fall and everything else in between. Maybe they're you know what, and you know what, I will back them up on it. I don't think they necessarily need a major. I think people kind of almost how Katowice, right? It doesn't need to be a major to have major vibes every year.
Yeah,
it's evolved into more than just having a major. So
Blast doesn't have any of those iconic events is the problem.
No, it's just Blast.
Right? It's just the Blast series that they do. So that major would add that little extra oomph to their event. So I felt even the World Finals, although it was great and it was awesome CS and watching Navi do it, it was right after the major took place, so it felt a little lackluster because the major had just taken place, right? So it'd be nice for them to get it. Before we move on from CS, Tim, because I want to talk about the Navi group. We don't have to talk about Navi in particular, because I both could say we're probably on the same page, not worried about them, even after going 0-2, right? This is not some major. You wouldn't have liked to see them lose to MIBR, obviously, but I'm not sitting here panicking with Navi. But we did have Astralis and OG in this bracket, and they went head to head twice. OG coming out on top both times, but Astralis also beat Navi and beat MIBR, so they had a couple of wins mixed into their weekend, going 2-2. But for OG, like OG struggled a lot last year, right? Given like they just struggled, they couldn't find their game last year. It never seemed to click. There was rumors about Valde potentially joining EG, I think it was at one point, but like it didn't manifest into anything more because of buyout fees and whatnot. The only major change this team made was adding Nexa to the lineup, and they had a 3-0 weekend, and Nexa was dominant for them. And so I'm kind of curious, like, how does that look for Alexi B? Right? Like Alexi B obviously is the one that exited, right, and found himself a new home with a lot of star players, and now has huge expectations on him. But the team he left was like a struggling team, and Nexa's the change, comes in as IGL, new team, 3-0 weekend. He crushed it. Granted, 2 of the games were on Ancient, as Noman's pointing out in chat. But still, like, to me, that's a great sign for that team. A change in leadership could have been all that's needed when you have a player like Valde and Flames on your team. Like, these are 2 really good players to build around.
I do think there is such a thing of, like you said, just a perfect fit, right? It wasn't the fact that, oh, Alexi was the problem or he was not good enough or whatever, because, we were just putting G2 on a pedestal where he's at now, right?
Yeah.
We've seen this before, and I think of like when Rops replaced Nico on Mouse, right? And like it was supposed to be this like, oh no, that's the end of Mouse Sports and they're losing one of the best players in the world. Well, Nico left, Rops came in, and we actually saw an improvement with Mouse there for a long time, right? They never really dropped. I mean, even recently at their worst, they never truly dropped off the way people were expecting, right? So I do think there's a scenario where you can make a roster move and add someone, and it's not necessarily like you're instantly going to have to suck because you have a new person, or Alexi B, who is supposed to be this good player, drops off, and now you have, like
it could be one of the rare instances where the trade worked out for both teams.
Right, and that happens, right? Not often, but it happens.
And like we just mentioned about G2 before, they were a couple rounds away from being major winners, so it's not like Nexa is some massive like problem. Obviously, they just didn't meet their end goal, but they were the number 2 team in the world most of the time doing it. So, it could be one of those rare trades that really just works for both teams. And so far, I would say it has.
Yeah, they, like I said, just sometimes a change of scenery is all that's needed. So, and you hope it is, right?
Oh, go ahead.
Like I said, and you hope it does work out, because I think the perfect scenario is, like you said, we have 7 teams contending for first place. That's what you want. You don't want, as fun as the year of Navi was last year, you don't want that every year. You want contention. You want people constantly knocking each other off the first. And that way, when you get to the major, it isn't just a walk in the park. Like we've seen it seems like no matter how many good teams there are, as soon as the major arrives, it's like there's always a shoe-in for it, right? Like, Astralis, it's theirs to lose. Or, yep, this is going to be Navi's to lose. I for once, I want like debate going into a major.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see that at least in the first couple of events this year, to start us off until things kind of get ironed out a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, and now we got for upcoming matches, Tim, they start back up on Thursday. Elimination matches, single elimination matches there. And it's caused a little bit of chaos with Navi falling to where they did, because now Navi playing Liquid in an elimination matchup, and the winner will play NIP, and you're going to have some really good games because there were some upsets early on. So we'll have a lot of Counter-Strike again this weekend.
Looking forward to it. Also, what I'm looking forward to is a little bit of clutch or kick to end the show here before we get to e-news. Anuj, let's get on some clutch or kick. For those who don't know, this is where a super original idea. It's not like buy or sell, which you might be familiar with other shows. No, no, no. This is completely original. It's where we take some news stories and we clutch or kick whether or not we believe them or not. Anuj, the first one here, clutch or kick. Blizzard has announced that they are adding in cross-faction dungeon PvP and raids to test servers, which we all know what that means. It means it's happening. Like, people don't use test servers for testing. It's just a preview of the upcoming patch. So it's finally happening in World of Warcraft. Horde versus Alliance means nothing, as we've all seen it going into this direction, but you can now finally PvP and run dungeons and raids with Horde and Alliance. You can mix and mingle the factions. So my clutch or kick here, Anuj, is, does this kill the WoW vibes?
Okay. We talked about this briefly earlier, so this is cheating a little bit, but I didn't want to say anything when you brought it up to me because I do have a little bit of a different take on it. I don't think it's the worst thing, because to me, they already killed Horde versus Alliance a long time ago. So to me, I don't look at this as the end of Horde versus Alliance. I looked at it as the end of that pre-battle for Azeroth. Like, that was already not a thing. The world kind of lost that life or whatever that it had to it early on. So I think this is a good evolution in terms of like helping out the player base, finding more active parties. Like, I Mythic run a lot, and maybe because you haven't experienced that at like a really high level, you don't see where those struggles are in like finding a group, especially as like a DPS player, right? If you're tanking, which you tank a lot for us, or somebody's healing, a lot easier for them to like hop into a group. Like, they can get on and play right away if they wanted to. That's not really the option for a lot of DPS players, unless you're a grinder with a crazy high IO score. Then yeah, you'll get invited a lot. So I think this will help in areas that I've seen struggles in personally, is like trying to find groups in a reasonable time frame. I don't want to look for a group for 45 minutes when I'm looking to do a plus 15. Like, I want to get on and play the game because I have X amount of time. So I'm kind of okay with the change. Like, it doesn't kill that vibe for me, because I think if they still wanted to make a great Horde versus an Alliance storyline, like, they could do that in the next expansion, because Raid Finder is kind of like Raid Finder, Group Finder is kind of a world of its own, you know? Like, that's a different game that people are playing than maybe somebody's doing something in the open world. So you can still have that faction-based conflict in the open world, but like, if I'm queuing for a dungeon, what do I care if it's a night elf standing next to me? I don't. I just need them to be good enough to like play and do their job so we can time this dungeon, because everybody has the same goal at that point, right? And it's completing that piece of content. So it doesn't, I'm gonna clutch the move. I forgot what the clutch or kick exactly was, but I'm gonna clutch the change that they're taking, because I feel like it just, Horde versus Alliance has been dead. So
see, and I agree with that part. Like, the Horde versus Alliance, the WoW that I loved, where I like, you know, you actually had some hatred towards the other side, right? Before you could even create, like, before it was like, hey, if you made a Horde on this server, that's all you can ever make on this server is Horde, right? Like, you are a Horde player, you can't make an Alliance on this server. That was, to me, the peak of WoW, because you had this Horde versus Alliance. They've completely muddled that storyline to every aspect of it. It doesn't make sense at this point to even kill an Alliance player, because in the main story, like how you're saying, like it you know, the difference between like open world and like raid finders and things like that, I agree with. But like, even in like the normal story, it doesn't even make sense to go kill an Alliance, right? Because it's like, we're all
usually working towards the same objective anyway now.
Yeah, like,
you know?
in the story mode, you're working with the Alliance leaders, but here I am, open world, ganking an Alliance player. Makes zero sense. They need to find a way, and this is why I think it is like, it does kill my vibe a little bit. Obviously, I'm going to play it, right? But it does kill my vibe in the sense of like, how are they going to do this in the story. Like, they have to actually make it make sense for the story, whether that be Horde versus Alliance or Horde and Alliance going under one banner, and then maybe we get like a new faction, something like that, to make sense for open world or something. The issue is like they're still selling the point of for the Horde and for the Alliance, and like the story with it and the merch. None of, like, for the Horde and for the Alliance, that means nothing right now because you're all under one banner. Like, they need to just merge it in one and have a reason for open world PvP. Like,
if there was like, if this was old WoW, this would have bugged me a lot more.
Right. Yeah,
it just doesn't with the current state of the game. And like,
what it is they've defeated us from expansion to expansion.
Well, and yeah, they beat us down to get us to this point.
Right.
But like, also now, if you're a hardcore PvPer and you need a rogue on your team in your Horde, you can go get a top tier rogue that's playing Night Elf because that's the best rogue class in the game because they get that second vanish with Shadow Meld.
Right.
So like, you can comp a little bit better too. You're not stuck like, oh man, I can't have like the best abilities because I'm playing Horde. Like, and now you can go create an Alliance character and still group with your friends.
The positive side of this is like, I can finally go and make that human paladin to have better looking armor, but still play with you guys.
Yeah,
so exactly. That is one. Couldn't ever do anything open world wise because this is only for like certain things, but you could do it, and that's the whole point of this, is so you can play with friends on other factions and things like that.
We're just getting to the point where it's going to happen for open world stuff at some point, right? Like, so whether it's next expansion or the one after that, there'll be some kind of combining the forces, and all of a sudden we'll be able to.
My beef is really because it makes no sense with the story. That's my beef on it. Is story wise, like, thoughts and prayers for the RPers out there, because this makes no sense. If you're in an RP server and you're trying to roleplay this making sense, it makes no sense.
No, like, they're gonna just not queue for stuff anymore.
Right? Like, I don't know how they even do it.
We'll do the old school looking for group and chat. Will be the only way to do it.
Right. Next on the Clutcher Kick, Sony acquires Bungie for $3.6 billion. This, of course, weeks after Microsoft bought out Activision Blizzard. Sets the video game world on fire again as Sony acquires Bungie. Of course, Bungie, as we talked about, creators of Destiny. As some headlines will clickbait you into thinking, yes, they are the original creators of Halo, but they do not own anything about Halo anymore, so it has nothing to do with Halo. Clutcher Kick, is this a big deal? I will go first. I will say, just off the reaction of people, it's a kick. Because it's not as big a deal as people are making. Like, people are saying, like, Barstool's gaming, which is terrible, by the way. I love Barstool, but their gaming side is a joke. They were like, Sony answers back to Microsoft. Do you really think Bungie is an answer to buying Activision Blizzard? Like, Bungie has Destiny. Activision Blizzard has literally
the 5 biggest IPs like created in the last 20
right.
years.
Like, and I know someone in our Discord brought up a good point. Like, well, maybe they spent $3.6 billion for, like, I think Bungie's working on something new, and then
they have a new IP that they're working on, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and then also like TV rights, right? Like, they can make shows and movies on, which for Destiny would work perfect. Like, the universe of Destiny is perfect for like a show on Netflix or whatever. Yeah. So that would work out perfect, and I get that, but still, I mean, yeah, it's sure they bought Bungie, but it's like people are trying to make this seem like it was some giant industry move. It's really not. Like, if Bungie makes, if Sony tries to flex this and says, guess what? Destiny is now PlayStation exclusive, which they'll never do because Microsoft has the kill shot in making Call of Duty exclusive. Like, it's never going to happen. So I say kick. It's not that big of a story as people are making.
Well, okay, so I'm going to clutch this, but for different reasons. It's not because it's a competitive move to like counter Bungie versus Activision Blizzard, right? Like, that's not the argument. If anybody's making that the argument, you don't know what you're talking about ultimately. But I am clutching the buy because it is a good IP that you're buying. It does give you some sort of like, hey, we got this, you want this, you have that, we want that. Yeah. So we both have a little something that each other want, right? Eventually, Sony is also going to make their own version of Game Pass. And so they need to acquire big IPs to throw in there. We know Bungie is working on a new IP. You hope that that's good, right? They probably know much more about it than anybody that we talk to would. So it's also like some future investment. This deal's been in the work from what we read for 5 to 6 months before
Right.
the Microsoft deal was even
always,
in talks. Like
people think these things take like a couple days to do, I guess, right? People are like, oh,
yeah, well,
it's like, well,
and to be fair, the Microsoft Blizzard Activision one, if they're telling the truth, happened within like a 60-day span, right? So that is relatively quick. This one has been in the talks for a little while. I think it just makes sense though. Like Sony needs to acquire some studios. You're not going to go find another studio out there right now that's at the same scale, right? Like, yes, EA would probably go for a ton of money because of all the sports games titles that they have under their belt, but nobody's like dying for that, or it would have already happened.
but I mean,
Same thing.
yeah, because like EA is somewhat like Activision Blizzard was, right? Where people for a while thought was untouchable because it's like they have their own like I saw a pie chart today where it's like EA has its own crazy tree of developers underneath it, right? So it's you're at one point in time, I don't know when this happened, but when did we start just casually spending $1 billion? Like,
I mean, that's the 20th century, 21st century.
Did that happen just in like the last 5 years? I mean, $3.6 billion for Bungie. I maybe I just don't know finance that well.
Yeah, like 10 years ago, it probably would have been $3.6 million.
That's what I'm saying. Like something happened where it was like,
I mean, these titles now with microtransactions has changed everything, right? Now games can make a lot more money than the initial purchase price, and that's why you see initial purchase prices come down, because that's not where they get you anymore. They get it in different ways, and they're much smarter about how they pry your money from you. So I clutch the buy. Like, I think it's a good buy. There's nothing wrong with them buying Bungie. I kick it if you're asking me, is this like a rival to Bungie Activision? But I don't think that's not the message that Sony is putting out there. That's the message that
everyone else
Dexerto or Barstool Sports, that's the message that they're trying to put out there and convey to you. But
like I said,
I'll clutch Sony's not even saying that.
The buy is a good buy from Sony's end, but the news story in general, like people are trying to make this
from the TMZ type outlets. The news story is a kick, but the move itself, Destiny is a great IP to buy. And it's a wonderful IP to buy.
I couldn't believe the amount of people like on Twitter that were like, oh, what does this do for the Halos now? Bungie hasn't touched Halo in like over a decade. Like,
people probably don't know that they sold the rights to like the previous Halos, right?
Microsoft,
so maybe they're thinking
343
like,
what
happened with Halo 1, 2, and 3, you know?
Yeah, no, 343 runs Halo now. Microsoft 343 runs Halo. Bungie has nothing to do with any of it. I mean, hell, even if that's why if you go to like Bungie's websites and stuff, it's like
you're just getting Destiny.
Yeah,
it should say
Destiny.
Sony bought Destiny for $3.6 billion and future IP.
Right. Which, I mean, Bungie. Now, if you want to say the track record, right? Bungie at least has a track record of good games, but whatever.
I think we can both say Destiny is a really good game.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, hell. There was a time where we grinded Destiny. The expansions
multiple times, right? It's like we treat it like WoW to a certain extent.
The issue is the expansions as of late have been very, like they don't add anything new to the game, like gameplay wise. It's been nothing new. It's hey, now you got to go fight the Vex on this planet. Oh, now you got to go fight the Fallen on this planet and go into this cave that looks exactly the same.
As we mentioned so many times, like the shooting in that game is enough to get me to go back.
The shooting is amazing.
One of the smoothest shooters I've ever played of any game.
If they actually paid attention to their multiplayer and made it competitive, it could. I mean, it would have been.
I think their next game should be that, right? Like you could still do an open world type game, but think about the PvP balance at the start and create some sort of esport environment, because Destiny has all the right tools to be an esport. It feels good, it looks good, it plays good, but it's too imbalanced.
People complain about how Halo feels on mouse and keyboard. Destiny does not have that problem. Destiny feels it's like butter. It is So smooth.
Damn, makes me want to just it honestly makes me want to go back and play a little bit right now.
I know, but then
Like
10 minutes, you're like, oh.
that's like I wish I had a but with the new expansion like a month away, you know?
Yeah,
So maybe
we'll see. We will see. Last clutcher kick is TSM versus T1, the ruling. The ruling heard around the world as the VCT qualifiers for NA kicked off. T1 ended up having to forfeit their matchup against TSM because of T1's coach being caught communicating in the game to the players at a not allowed time. So coaches are only allowed to communicate with certain moments. He communicated via the in-game chat and got busted for it, having to force to quit that game.
Called out by a TSM player mid-match too, like tweeted it out in the middle.
What did he text? What was the message? Do we know?
Yeah, I posted it in our log.
While you look,
basically, he said that there was a ping issue. He mentioned in there that they're playing on a much better server location for him, and that we're playing a 6v5 GG. You know, is basically what he said. So the 6v5 is referring to the coach talking in game. He must have at that moment when he saw that text come out, he then tweeted.
Okay, so Wolf says the coach though said hold tunnels.
Yeah, I think he also said like somebody had popped their ult or something like that.
Okay, so something coaching related though. It wasn't like, oh, nice shot or something.
He was giving some sort of advice to his team.
Okay.
And so whatever he said, kind of the irrelevant part, it was the fact that he did it at all. And so I'm going to go first here. I clutched the ruling. Rules are rules, okay? And if we're going to have 3 shows about the freaking Counter-Strike coaching issue, it's because we thought it was a big deal for CS that the coach was cheating in whatever way that they were. This is not exactly the same, but there's rules to be followed. And if coaches can't type to their players or communicate during a round, then those are the rules. And unfortunately, in a non-LAN scenario, it's harder to enforce these rules. So you got to be a little bit of a dumbass to get caught. If you're going to be stupid enough to type in old chat and not realize that you're doing it, I don't feel bad for you. Like, that is what it is. So the rules are in place. Y'all were winning the series 1-0. You were up 8-4 on Icebox. Like, you could have just shut the hell up at that point, let your team finish off, walked away with the W, and nobody would have blinked twice. But you made that mistake. You suffer the consequences.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And, you know, you and I are typical rule our rules kind of people anyways, right? In these scenarios, it's kind of like, look, the ruling is there. If you get caught communicating, you forfeit the map. Like, that's the rule. So
yep.
That's it. And like you said, you got to be pretty dumb to communicate it in an all chat in the game. Like, first off, like, come on, dude. And second off, though, I will say, I think, in my opinion, coaches should be allowed to communicate in the sense of, like, I almost think of it like a hockey or a basketball coach, right? Like, they're constantly shouting out their players and things like that. I like that, but the ruling is the rule, and you can't communicate with your players in match. So it is what it is. I don't know why a lot of people got onto TSM for this, right? Saying like, oh, you know, you guys only won because of this, and, you know, you guys are crybabies and blah, blah, blah. And TSM has kind of become like this most hated team and fan base in Valorant. Like, they became the bad boys of Valorant. I don't know if it's because they were so hot at the start and then fell off, so now people are enjoying kicking them when they're down. I don't necessarily get it.
That's what it feels like, right?
Yeah, because like it really came out of nowhere. But I don't know what people want Riot to do here. Like, the dude got busted red-handed from the other team that he was communicating in game. I don't want to necessarily say cheating, right? Because it's, you know, that's
TSM wouldn't have reported it if he didn't talk in old chat, even if they assumed that he was doing it. Right? Like, they wouldn't have said anything. So he made the mistake. Like,
right, and you know, Wolf says in chat, and he makes an awesome point, that, you know, this could have been implication that he could have been doing it a lot more in the private team chat, right? Like, what if this was just one of 10 things?
100%. That's exactly what I was thinking, though. I wouldn't have thought otherwise. I'm assuming he was talking in team chat majority of the time and accidentally slipped up and hit the old chat button for that particular message, or they were doing it in some other form, right? Like they were in another voice communication where he was in that one and could talk in their ear, like maybe he's the only one talking on that particular channel. Like there's so many ways they could have done it without getting caught, and the fact that they did get caught, I showed no sympathy there.
How this got turned on to TSM being the bad guys, I don't know. Like everyone's like feeling bad for T1, but it's like
because nobody likes a snitch, Tim.
I guess
2022.
But if I'm in a qualifier and you cheat, I'm reporting your ass.
100%.
Like you're 100%. Done. Anything that
I'm getting that dub however I can get it.
Yeah, like no doubt. So, whatever.
My contract's on the line, dude. You better not slip up because I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
You're telling me the difference of like a insta qualifying to the next round or you not getting caught cheating? Yeah, I'll call your ass out.
Yeah.
Any day of the week. So there you have it. There's clutch or kick. Let's knock out some e-news here. Some CS news. Tentatively, the report is, per sources, that ESL will run the second CS major of 2022 in Rio de Janeiro in November. So this is, make good for the last couple of times it was supposed to be in Rio. So
I want to see Brazil get a major like anybody else does, right? As long as COVID is under control over there, they deserve to have one. So.
Absolutely. Why not? And Bubsky is finally free after 18 months with Astralis. So no longer the 6th, 7th, 8th man, whatever he ended up being towards the end.
That get out of jail card finally came to fruition for him. But yeah, excited for him. He needed to get off the roster. He needed to find a way to get back into competitive playing. He's probably played under 15 matches in 18 months. So he needed this, and I'm happy for him. And so I hope he gets an opportunity to sign with another team soon. Kind of unfortunate timing, considering most of the rosters have already been put in place. But I think he'll find a home somewhere.
And in Valorant news, Mixwell is also officially a free agent as he's been benched from G2, but he's gotten permission from them now to look elsewhere. So Mixwell is one of those guys. I don't know why, but I know he's always held a soft spot in our hearts.
It's a Greek tragedy. That's why we look at him the way we do.
We've never had him on the show. I've never met the guy before, but I just want him to do well. I thought this G2 signing was going to be it for him, but he's just always catching the short end of the stick. So.
Well, like the thing is, they've made roster changes everywhere but him, and they're still not finding success.
Well,
so,
I think said
the writing was kind of on the wall for this at this point, but you hate to see it nonetheless.
Yeah. He even said he was the last remaining member of the original G2 Valorant team. Mm-hmm. So like, if
and they've made multiple like roster changes. So
they
not
kicked
like it's
that
just been
one guy.
Clean sweep. It's been a lot.
They kicked that one guy like a week after his dad died. So Mixwell favored pretty well here. They won't hesitate to kick someone. In Call of Duty, it's been unconfirmed, but The Rock tweeted a couple days ago that he's doing some video game project that for a game he's played his entire life. And now the rumor is that it's going to be a Call of Duty movie with The Rock, which honestly, in my opinion, could either be amazing or utter trash, and there is no in between on this one.
So, just based on what we know, it's a clutch, right? Like, this seems like a great fit. Like, it just seems like it would work, assuming the writing in the movie and the production doesn't completely suck, which that's a possibility. But
normally, like, COD single player is normally like really good. Like normally that's the only reason I played COD was because the single player was good after multiplayer started to suck. So
and we talk about video adaptations to movies have generally been bad, right? We mentioned Street Fighter,
and Rock Kombat, was in Doom, which was
Warcraft, Doom, like Resident Evil. I think only the first one was semi-decent. Everything else was just straight trash. So kind of excited to see what happens with the new Uncharted movie that's coming out. A fan of Tom Holland, and I feel like it could be good. Maybe this has some potential too, because Call of Duty's got a good story. If they can put it together and make a good movie, The Rock seems like a good fit for that character.
I did not know this, but fun fact, CDL is having matches the same day and time as the Super Bowl.
They needed an excuse for why viewership would be low, is my only guess.
And
like, hey, our numbers are low, but yeah, the game was the same time as the Super Bowl. Like, that's a one-off. Sign with us, sponsors. Like, it's not a big deal. This is a dumb play. New York versus LA Thieves of all teams to like have running at the start of the Super Bowl.
I did not
doesn't
know.
seem smart.
Not good. Not good.
You think Clayster would have played if the Packers were in the Super Bowl?
Probably not. Probably pulled
Like,
that COVID
he would have
card.
given himself COVID.
Yeah, like, guys, I can't. I'm coughing. I'm sick.
I'm too sick.
In other FPS news, the Overwatch League, I don't know if they announced their full talent lineup yet, but it has been known that Bren and Sideshow will no longer be returning. So much like with the Call of Duty League, you had your number one casting squad not return. So this could mean one or two things. Either A, they're asking too much money, which I don't think would be the case, but maybe. And when I say too much money, obviously they're asking for too much money because they would have been hired either way, but they're just for an unreasonable amount of money. Or
they're probably making more than most players are now.
Yeah, probably. Especially after seeing Doa tweet out what he made in OGN, the Korean league.
Yeah.
Like, I did not know casters made that much. So there's that. Or the leagues are finding out that people are going to watch regardless of who's casting, which I hate to break it to you casters. It's kind of true. Like, yes, I have my preferred casters, but I'm going to watch who's ever in it.
Yeah, I mean, they have a major impact on the viewing experience.
Of course.
You are still going to watch the game regardless. But that's not the right way to do it.
No,
like
of course.
These Maven and Merc and now Bren and Sideshow, like, these are the faces for your game, and they've represented your game so good for so long. So, disappointing to just see these decisions being made. I feel like these are easy wins for your viewer base, so like, why not give
and it's like they were content creators for Overwatch too, right? And if they're not involved with Overwatch League, let me tell you what, you don't really care that much about Overwatch League. Like, the league is not that exciting to talk about if you're not involved with it. Point in case.
And chances are they're not going to go back to like Overwatch content creation now.
I mean, they say they still will, but I mean, they're saying that now.
For how long? For like until they get signed or officially are like not moving forward.
Right.
Then they're also gonna move on.
Like, if all of a sudden they're solely getting signed to do whatever new FPS is out there, then they'll stick with the Valorant content because they do other podcasts. Overwatch might be the one they dip. So we'll see. We'll see. If you watched, what was it? The Chiefs game, I believe, yesterday had the preview for the new Halo Paramount Plus live action show premiering March 24th. It looked exactly what I was expecting it to look like. Not stellar budget, but good enough, right? Like, it looked good. I'll
never know.
I'll get Paramount Plus. You can do like a free trial of Paramount Plus, or like
I'll wait till the season is over.
Yeah, they're always.
So I do my 1 week free trial and try and binge it in that amount of time. But I'm not getting Paramount Plus for a Halo series. Like, that's not happening.
They have the new SpongeBob movie, which I already used a free trial on to watch when it first came out. Not a bad SpongeBob movie if you're into that stuff, but
like,
I'll watch Halo, of course. It's Paramount Plus. I constantly see them running like $3 a month special. So
I'll wait for that to go free to play also.
So, excited. It looks good.
I would have watched it if it's not on Paramount Plus, but chances are, like, I'll just never get the membership.
Like I said, it looks good enough, I think, if you're a Halo fan, to check it out. In FGC, I don't know what story it's following, though. Like, is it just a branch off story of Master Chief? Is it branching off a game? I don't know. But I don't care enough to research it. Let me tell you that. FGC news, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 gets a update. I can't find if this is fan-made. It's got to be a fan-made mod. But it's essentially allowing people to add any fighting DLC character they want, like, as long as you know how to do it. So it's kind of insane. Like, they've already added.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and like, you can add it. There's already been like 10 official characters added. So, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is a 10-year-old game. But like, this essentially gives it infinite life because people still love the mechanics of it, right? It was just not getting updates. Well, now
until they get like shut down by it. Yeah.
Capcom will be like, hey, what's up? I don't know how much they care, right? Would
They're
you?
like, oh, viewership's getting too high on this game that we don't actually.
They're not
profit off
Nintendo.
of, so.
They're not Nintendo. That's Nintendo move right there.
We'll see.
In other
I
news,
feel like everybody is Nintendo inside. Tim.
oh, this ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Just wait. All these NFT people jacking up copyrights, thinking, "Oh yeah, here's this," and then everyone's like, "Hold up, was that a Mario NFT there that I see?" Yoink! Thank you very much. People are like, "No, I bought this. It's mine." Okay. Good luck with that. Good luck arguing that one. In other news, we forgot to bring this up when we were talking new games coming out. Blizzard is building a new survival game that is not anything based off of recent games. So it's a brand new IP survival game coming from Blizzard. The picture that they had with the announcement still makes it look like it's a little fantasy based, I guess. It almost looked like someone with a sword and stuff, so maybe a little.
That's the vibe I got from just looking at the image, but
right.
It's like a wait and see. I'm not a huge survival game fan.
It just depends
on how they implement
right.
How it's just how the game functions. It's
like,
just a wait and see.
Are we talking like the Forest survival game? Because I love the Forest. If you've ever played that, it is fun.
We're talking like DayZ.
Right. Like what's survival? That's a wide net we're casting here. I need
like Tarkov doesn't appeal to me at all. No. And it's an FPS game, so it's not even like it's got to cater a little bit more to casuals.
I'm a father of two. I cannot play a game that completely wipes all progress when I play it. Okay.
No.
Let's make that not happen. Big news on the YouTube gaming side, as Fwiz, I think is how you say his name, is no longer with Google and YouTube gaming. This guy pretty much kicked off YouTube gaming. Like, for better, for worse, everything you hated about it, everything you loved it. This guy was the one who started it with Google. So.
Never got that UI working though.
No, his biggest.
No, I mean, he's obviously done a lot.
He's done a lot.
He's like been a very big key contributor.
I'm sure
he's going over to Polycon, so he's going to be, pushing out NFTs and Bitcoin himself, and he's kind of always been big into that. If you follow him on Twitter, he talks about it kind of constantly. So it's not that surprising that that's the industry that he's going in, but I also never saw him leaving that role. So that's the surprising part.
It's like you said, he's done a lot and also at the same time very little for YouTube gaming. From the outsider's perspective.
Like from the outside,
someone is probably yelling at me right now, not appreciating all the hard work he's done, and I totally get that, but I'm just telling you as an everyday guy, it's a lot and a little all at the same time.
We want the basic functionality. We talked about like clips or the UI functionality, like stuff that he's probably not even that much.
Yeah, he's like, guys, I don't.
But he's signed some amazing creators to that platform during his time.
And this almost could have been Yikes of the Week, but Tom Brady retired / not retired. So I don't understand. We always give esports reporters a hard time, but Adam Schefter of ESPN reported that Tom Brady retired, only to then be nixed by Tom Brady himself and his party and his agent saying, no, he hasn't made the decision yet.
All reports seem to still imply that he's retiring.
But all the reports are from ESPN, and Adam Schefter's ESPN guy. Like I do
have an impromptu clutch or kick for you on this.
I don't believe any of it.
You ready for this?
Go for it.
What would mean more to their sport? Because I saw this on one of these gaming websites, and I'm kind of curious on your take. Tom Brady retiring from the NFL or Scump retiring from COD?
Well, I mean, obviously Tom Brady retiring is bigger, right?
Not what's bigger. What hurts?
Right, exactly. What would impact their sport more would be Scump by a million miles, because after Scump, what do you have, right? Tom Brady, there will always be another, like look at Michael Jordan, then you get LeBron James, right? Yeah. Tom Brady, you get Matthew Stafford. So
Joe Burrow, whoever's next in line,
right. The next quarterback for the Detroit Lions. So, there's always something like that. With Scump, you get Simp and everyone hates
And
Simp.
nobody even likes Simp.
So I don't know. I don't even know where you go from there, right? So the next closest to Scump are already veterans that are probably right behind him in retiring.
Like Formal's gone,
Right.
So maybe it could have been Formal, but
maybe it could have been
left,
Crims.
so.
You know, I don't know, right? So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Scump leaving would definitely impact the sport more. But for Tom Brady, man, like, thank you. I'm happy in the sense of what he did for the sport. I don't think will ever be rivaled, at least in our lifetime. Like, sure, somebody might get more than 6 or 7 Super Bowl wins, but probably not while we're on this earth. But I am happy to see him leave at the same time, because that has like been a thorn in everybody's side for.
I'm waiting my congratulations until I hear it from him.
So we'll bring this back. We'll talk about it again when
they
it's
also
official.
say his signing bonus kicks in on the 4th. So like on Friday is when he's supposed to get not his signing bonus, but like a like it had, and I guess it makes sense. Like had he retired now, he's like walking away from like millions of dollars in this bonus that would have been last week or next week. So everyone's just like.
But then if he like takes the bonus, I'm assuming that it also implies that he has to like play. Right?
I don't know.
And like Tom Brady's not gonna hang around for like a couple like a mil or two. Like they're doing. He's doing okay. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's right.
It would be a Tom Brady thing to do to retire on top, though. When I say on top, in terms of like the dude's still balling out, right? He can obviously still play, like no question about it. So for him to go out without ever sucking is like a Tom Brady. Like,
all I know is, and you know me, I love Tom Brady, so I'm fine with him playing forever. But all I do know for a fact is his friend circle got a little smaller because someone leaked that shit, and he probably knows who. He's probably not happy. He's not thrilled about it.
Like if we see Tom Brady fire chef tomorrow, we know what happened. You know?
We know who leaked it. If his personal chef is gone, then we know. So either way, either congratulations or we'll see you next year to Tom Brady. It's to be decided. My point is reporters can just say whatever the hell they want. And like Adam Schefter reported this and then casually retweets a statement from his agent saying, no, this isn't true. And then retweets about 15 stories immediately after to bury his own Tom Brady story and never once brings up the fact that maybe he's wrong on this one. Like,
we should tweet out Scump is retiring right at the end of this season.
I would.
Reports.
I will do it right now. It's one of those per sources, and you completely can say whatever you want. Just as long as you say per sources in front of it,
you're good.
Doesn't matter. Say whatever you want. Holds up in traditional and esports. But that does it for this episode 371 of the Center Ring Esports podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Philly Esports for sponsoring the show. Follow us on Twitter at the Center Ring. We do this every Monday night. Join our Discord and all that fun stuff. But until next time, for Anuj, I'm Tim. Love your face. See ya. Bye. Per sources. Yeah, I mean, for real. Like, we could say, like, yeah, we have a source.
Yeah, like, who the fuck's your source?
I'm not, I don't give out my sources' names. I'm sorry. That's private information, and I will never give up my sources.
A little widget icon on the bottom of my computer, which I did not add. What's a weather icon? Do you have that by chance?
I mean, I've disabled it 1,000 times after every Windows update, but yes, I know what you're talking about.
It has changed to snow flurries now. It went from like
we're getting snow right now?
I
know they're bumping this up. Like, it was supposed to be snowing like Wednesday night, and now they're saying like Wednesday afternoon possibly.
Starting tonight at 3:40 until February 3rd.
Yeah.
You know what kind of sucks? It's like, now that we're remote, it doesn't fucking matter.
You know what's funny is I actually made that joke to my boss today, saying like, you know, working at home kind of killed kind of
killed the whole like snow day thing.
Kind of ruined the fun of snow in Texas. Before, it was like the easiest out. Like, oh, Sorry.
Yeah, we got a little bit of snow over here. It was game over.
It's like, it snowed over in Dallas. It's like, Tim, you live in Fort Worth. Yeah, well, you never know on the roads between then and here. Like, got to call in. Sorry. But I feel you. No, it's funny. I made that same joke.
Something new.
What is it? It's going to be like, yeah, it's supposed to be, for us, it's going to be freezing. -11 where you're at, though? I think for here, it's like the low is still like 12 or something, which for here is...
Which is like -11 for us.
The high on Thursday is 27, 36, 42.
I need to run to the store tomorrow. I need to winterize some of the outside shit.
Yeah, we did all that already. So, but all right, I'm going to kill the stream so I can go do adult stuff, laundry, all that fun jazz. Everyone in chat, love you. Thank you for stopping by. We'll be back next Monday if the snow doesn't kill us first.
Talking some more Counter-Strike probably.
Yep. Yeah, because blast will happen. So, all right, homies.